Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video. Got some mods in, so I figured I'd make a video. I'll install them on the car as well because, I don't want to make two separate things. First off, Cobb shift knob. I mentioned this in my last video that I picked up another Cobb shift knob, mainly because I missed having it. And I don't know, just the overall shape and the feel of it and the weight. I don't know, just something about it is just, I absolutely love this knob. This time I opted for the black instead of the red. I normally had the red, which was nice. It fit in, just the red inside the car and the interior and everything. But I guess just, I don't know, I wanted to try something different. And I think the black will look really nice just with, the black vents and everything and the Recaro and everything. So I think this is going to be a nice addition. I don't know. I think this is my favorite knob despite all the other ones I've tried. I do have the nice WC Latheworks in there, but I'm probably going to rock this one for a little while. And if I do decide to change it up, I'll do that. But I wanted to get this one. It's only like 70 bucks. It's pretty cheap. And it's much lighter. I think it's 109 grams, which is very light, but it's made of Delrin. And the bottom here, the actual threads in the bottom here is made of aluminum, so it has that's what gives it a little bit of weight. The Delrin, I guess, adds to it as well, but this is not temperature sensitive, so it doesn't get hot or cold in any type of weather, and that's one of the things I loved about it. And it's like the perfect size. It's not too big. It's actually much smaller than you would think, but this is absolutely perfect. And I don't know why I ever tried to change or try new things, because I knew I still love this one. But now that I got another one in my hand, I know for a fact this is definitely probably where I'm gonna rock. So I'll throw this in the car in a second, but let's talk about this real quick. So I mentioned that I was getting a type of diffuser, and there's a lot of them out there. There's the whole hair clipper style ones, which is not me. I think that's a little too excessive, a little too much, at least for my car. I've seen some of them that look pretty nice, mainly on cars that are, really done, wide bodied and just really nicely done. But on a otherwise, stock body WRX or STI, I really don't like any of the diffusers. The Varus one's nice, but again, that thing is like over $1,000, which is crazy. I'm not about that life. So I decided to pick up this one. I got this one from Icon Motorsports. It's a replica, or it's literally the same one as HT Auto. It literally just sits right in the middle of the exhaust tips, and this dips down where the third brake light is. And it has some nice fins which line up with the stock fins on it. So it just makes it sit a little bit lower. It gives a little bit more definition in that area. It's very easy to install. I'll go through the install with you, but there's some metal brackets here that go through the wheel well, or the spare tire well over there. There's two little grommets. You just pop these through and tighten them down. There's a screw on the side which goes right into kind of like the exhaust finisher area, and then there's 4 screws on the bottom that I believe are self-tap. So I'm going to find the best way to mount it. Obviously I just want to just put self-tappers in because I'm afraid it's going to rip out. But I have a feeling, with the bolts on the side here and the brackets there, it's going to be just fine. But I mean, it's a pretty nice piece. It's nothing crazy. This was about 150 bucks, so it's not like top of the line or anything insane. I did notice, I got it today. I did notice right here, kind of hard to tell, there's a little bit of imperfection right there. I'm not really expecting much just for the price that I paid, and I got it on eBay. So I'm not that bent out of shape about it. Plus, it's going under the car. But I did hit up the company that I did buy it from, and they offered to either give me a partial refund and keep this one, or get a replacement. I opted for a replacement, so I'll see what they say. I don't know if they're just going to allow me to keep this one and send another one out, which I hope they do, because I don't feel like removing this or just sending it back and having to deal with it. I'd rather them just send me a new one, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. But either way, I'll see how it looks on the car. This might not even bother me, but I figured I'll mention that just because, hey, I'm just a consumer like any one of you. So I figured might as well just, lay it out there and be honest about it, and not say, hey, it's the most greatest thing in the entire world, So I do have one other piece coming, which is the Basin R side spats, rear spats, whatever the heck you want to call them. So it'll finish off the whole entire lip kit. And I've seen these on the car before and other people's cars. I've seen people paint match them, which I'm not really a fan of. So I'm going to leave it this color, just kind of, you know, blends in with the stock diffuser. And I think it'll be a really nice touch. So I'm kind of excited about this because there's so many different versions and different styles out there. I wouldn't even really call it a diffuser. It's more so just like an extension on the rear, like a lip. You know, the OEM Subaru, it says it improves aero, which I don't really know. I don't know how much testing they actually did. Just that little blade back there, I can't really imagine it doing too much. So we'll see. I mean, obviously I'm not going to see any benefits of this if it really does anything on the street, but who knows. But yeah, so let's get to installing it, see how it goes. It's actually a pretty decently nice piece. It's not really flexible. It's very firm. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's definitely a type of, I think it's like a fiberglass plastic composite or something. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter. It's going on the back of the car. It was cheap enough. You know, it's not like it was a couple $100s where I'm going to get bent out of shape if, you know, it gets messed up or something. So let me walk you through the install and we'll go from there. All right, so let's just install the Cobb shift knob. Very simple to do, so I figured I would just kind of walk you through it. Not that it's difficult or, you know, really needs that much explanation, but I figure I would just kind of show you the difference. So this is the one I have on now, which I'm sure you guys have seen. I did a whole video on it. This is the WC Latheworks piston Helio, which is co-poly on top, which is type of kind of like a Delrin or plastic. Then it's titanium on the bottom. Really nice, but I don't know. I just really missed my Cobb knob after trying all these different ones. And it's the cheapest option, cheapest one I've ever tried. So actually that's not true. I tried the weighted Grim Speed one, the stubby, whatever they call it. And that was about 50 bucks, but it was just like solid stainless steel. And it was just, I don't know, it was too much. I didn't like the feel of that one at all. But yeah, this one's really nice. I don't know if I'm gonna get rid of it, at least just yet. It's pretty cool and it feels really nice. I will say, I don't know, they feel about the same in terms of weight. The Cobb actually feels a little bit heavier, to be completely honest. They're probably about the same. I don't know. It's probably a couple grams off. It's not that, you know, I'm not going to notice the difference. But this, one thing I really like about this one is it's not all the way down yet, but since it has this collar here, it goes like all the way down and it covers the pin here, which is really nice. All the other ones I've tried, it doesn't do that. So this sits really low. And it just, I don't know. It fits perfect. Man, for sure. I definitely have missed this knob. It's definitely a little bit bigger than obviously what I've been used to or what I've been trying for the past couple months. I had the WC Latheworks Titan knob, which was a little bit smaller than this, but it was a knob, type of shift knob, and this one's a little bit different. But this one, it just feels so good. It's such a good weight. It still feels really notchy, and I really like the black. Everything just matches nicely, and I think it looks good. So the reverse works perfectly. So I'm going to rock that for a little bit. I'm going to hang on to this one for now. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to sell it, but if somebody is interested, I guess maybe ask, or I'll see. Maybe somebody might be interested in buying it, but I'm not sure. I've waited like 5 weeks for this thing, so I might not get rid of it so soon. So yep, that's the install of the shift knob. Very simple. You don't have to do any type of, there's no set screw or anything. You just screw it down and you're done. And it looks great. So, okay, let's do the diffuser or the rear piece, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so to actually install the diffuser or the rear piece, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what to call it still. First off, you have to remove everything in the trunk because you have to get access to those two grommets, which is in the spare, wheel well, spare tire area. So I'm going to take everything out. Mine's obviously a little different because I have the kicker sub here. It doesn't take that much longer to remove, but I figured I would just go through the whole motion with you, just so you know what to remove and what you're looking for. So let me get the sub out and just slide it out. I'm going to unplug it, and the sub is out. Okay, so now I'm just going to remove all the carpeting and the trunk mat, whatever you want to call it. So this is coming out. Apparently I have my front plate in here, which I totally forgot about. Take out carpet here, or whatever you want to call this. This is not really carpet. It's just like soft cardboard. So then we got some foam. There we go. Here's a spare tire, which I'll never use. All right, so this is what we're looking at when you take everything out. It wasn't much to remove. Obviously, you just saw me do everything. But what we're looking at are these two black grommets. Basically, they're two holes that go directly straight to the bottom. So these brackets that go on the back of the diffuser, they kind of just sit across like that, pretty much, and kind of give it some stability. All right, guys, so after probably about 20 minutes or so, I started doing some test fitting, and I decided to do a little bit different method. Basically, this is the bracket that it comes with, and you're basically forced to only use this hole, the long slatted one here. But basically, what happens is there's only one side of this bracket that is holding on to the actual part of the car. I felt a little bit more comfortable with either side going into the hole. So it's basically each side of this bracket is sitting on the car as opposed to one side. So what I ended up doing is just smoking a hole right through the middle. So basically I got some new hardware because the ones it comes with are too short. So I ended up putting a hole through there, got some longer bolts. So I'm gonna stick it, so it's gonna be right in the middle. So basically the circle here, it's gonna sit right on top like that. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna give a much sturdier hold on it, as opposed to, I don't even think this fits here, but there's a screw here. So basically all it would be doing is this, basically. So the screw would be through the hole, and then this side of the bracket would be sitting in the car. I felt much more comfortable by putting it in the middle. So you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna have the hole. You're gonna have brackets on either side of the hole. Sorry if that was a little confusing, but I figured I would mention that because the hardware that comes with and this cheapo bracket that it comes with is pretty crappy. So you kind of got to do some makeshift, a little bit of mod work, which is not bad. I mean, you see a whole bunch of stuff here. I got a friggin' hammer because this bent a little bit, so I was hammering it back straight. Still a little bent, but I actually want it bent because it's going to go straight through the rubber grommet, which I'll show you in 1 second. This is the rubber grommet that comes out of the bottom of the wheel well there. And basically I want this screw to go through this, because if I just leave it like this, it's basically leaving that hole open to the elements, the trunk. And I don't want to get any water or anything like that inside the trunk, so I'm going to reuse this grommet. So basically I put a hole right through it, and I'm just going to stick this large bolt through it. And there we go. So we got the screw coming out the bottom here, and then it's just going to go straight into that hole over there. And then I'm going to attach the diffuser or the lip or whatever, straight to the bottom. You'll notice I have one side already hanging on there. It's probably a little bit easier to do this with two people, just because one person can hold that as you're screwing it in. But you can manage it with one person. You're able to reach inside the trunk while you're screwing it in, believe it or not. So let me get this on the car, and then I'll kind of show you exactly what it looks like with this part in. And then go into detail about fully installing. And this is the only first two bolts. I wanted to get these in first because this basically aligns it to where you want it to be. All right, so this is where we're at currently. I have the two back bolts inserted in. Now we just, as you can see on top here, we got some holes that are going to go straight into the bottoms of these. We're just going to use the provided black self tappers. Very simple. It actually lines up really well. Kind of hard to really show, but it lines up with the fin perfectly. And then there's some holes right over here, which are going to go right into the kind of the exhaust finisher side over there. So everything lines up really well. I mean, it's even on both sides like that. So I'm actually pretty impressed for 150 bucks. I think it looks pretty cool. So let me get those tapped in, and then we'll kind of tighten everything down, make sure everything looks good. And then we'll, finish this up and show you the new look. All right, guys, so there we go, installed. I figured I'd just get you a quick, I'm going to clean everything up, and then we'll do a kind of like not an unveiling, but just kind of, a better shot. But I just kind of want to show you how everything bolted up and what I ended up doing. So if you look in here, there's two brackets. I have the rubber grommets in there, so no wood or anything gets in there. And then I just, like I said, I put the hole straight through it. So now the bracket is sitting on either side of the hole instead of just one side. This was the first one I did, so it's a little bit more mangled as I was trying to figure things out. But ultimately it's the same. So if we go around here, you look underneath, let me get you a light. You can kind of see the self tappers that I used. That's the only hardware that came with the kit that I ended up using, these ones. The ones up in the trunk are different. I ended up using some black self-tappers right here. The ones that it came with, where it was a nut and bolt and you were supposed to use that hole, but it was way too hard to put, you know, everything in there, because you got to dig your hand underneath and then screw it in, and I just didn't trust it. So I ended up using some self-tappers that I had, which were much easier to install, and they're black too. The ones that it came with are silver, so they stand out. The bolts, or the nuts underneath, those are silver. Those are the ones coming from the trunk, but you don't even see them because it's hidden by everything. But all in all, I'm pretty impressed. The fitment is actually perfect. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to mess this up, but all the gaps around here are exactly the same. The gap between here and here is exactly the same, and it's nice and even. It looks really good. Everything lined up. I didn't have to force anything. So for $150, honestly, man, I'm pretty okay with this. There's some little defects. I mean, this right here, so I don't know if they're gonna send me a new one or what, or give me some credit. It doesn't really matter. You know, if they give me a new one, great. I'll just, you know, take this one out and swap the new one on. But overall, I mean, I have nothing to complain about. I think it looks really good. It just gives that back end a little bit of lower look, kind of fills it in more, because I always felt the back end of these cars were sitting a little too high. So having this kind of just bumps it down a little bit. And I think adding the little spats that I have coming for right here, it's going to look really, really good and kind of just finish everything off around here. So let me get everything cleaned up and I'll get you a better shot, and then we'll wrap up this video. Here we go, guys. Everything installed, everything cleaned up. We're all good. All the tools and everything are away. And we got a new little diffuser on the back. I think I'm pretty stoked with the new look of it, and just how, you know, it was pretty straightforward. Did take a little bit of time, but mods always end up taking a little bit more time than you normally think they're going to take. But I think, you know, straightforward. Obviously there's no instructions. Hopefully this video will help you out. It's pretty straightforward. You're literally just self-tapping most of the stuff. The only thing that's a little confusing is the brackets and everything you need to use for inside the trunk. But otherwise, you know, it's very straightforward. The whole concept is pretty simple, and it's super. I mean, it's not going anywhere. I think it's bolted on there really, really well, which is pretty crazy, just with some self taps and those screws and those bolts in the back. But I am confident it is not going anywhere. I'm not really crazy about using self taps everywhere, but then I started realizing I was like, hey, I use self taps on the front lip and the side skirts here. And they haven't gone anywhere, and they've been on there for over 2 years now. And I did the same thing on previous cars before, and I had no issues, you know, using self-taps. So I'm fairly confident I'm not gonna have any issues with this, at least I hope not. But the one thing that I did notice that's really nice is the finish on this is exactly the same as the side skirts and the front lip, which is kind of, you can't really see since it's kind of outside. But it's all the same material, it's all the same finish, so everything flows really well. I would even say this diffuser finish looks a little bit nicer than the same ones over there, the Base and R. I mean, it's the side skirts and everything, they're a little flexible. I think they're like a poly kind of material. This is more of like a plastic fiberglass mix. I don't know what it is exactly. So it's a little bit more firm, it's a little bit stronger, it feels like. So maybe that's why the finish is a little bit nicer, I guess, I don't know. But either way, it matches really well, it flows. They do make this one in carbon fiber. So maybe down the road, if I do decide to do everything carbon, I'll get the same one in carbon fiber. But that's, you know, it was literally almost $400, $300 or something like that for that. And I was thinking about getting it, but I was like, you know what? If I do that, you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna want the carbon fiber here, there, and there, and it's just, you know, it's a snowball effect, and I didn't want to do that right now. I just want to do something simple and just see if I even necessarily like it, because it is a little bit different for me. It's a little bit, I don't know, aggressive, because to me it's like, it's a diffuser on a diffuser basically. But to me this is subtle enough where it's not like in your face, and I'm not gonna have to worry about backing out and scraping anywhere and anything like that. But all in all, I think it looks really cool. It definitely lowers the rear, exactly what I wanted it to do. It's not over the top or in your face or anything like that. It actually looks pretty factory, to be completely honest, which is, you know, obviously everything that I go for on every single mod that I do. I try to keep it OEM plus looking, obviously a little more aggressive, and I always try to stay true to the actual lines of the car. I never try to overextend my boundaries with it and try to make it over the top by doing, you know, wide body kits or anything like that. I like to try to keep the factory lines, but just accentuate them and make them what I think a little bit more aggressive and a little bit better looking. And I think this does the trick. So for, you know, for 150 bucks, honestly guys, this is a definite mod if you're looking to do something in the rear. And like I said, it's on there really well. It fits really well too. You know, this stuff I was a little hesitant because A, it's from eBay, and B, it was so cheap, or a cheaper option compared to all the other really expensive ones, $600, $700, $1,000 ones. Obviously, it's those are carbon and from an extremely reputable brand like Varus or Varus, however you want to say it. But this is just pretty much, it's a replica of HT Auto. It's by Icon Motorsports, as I said, but I'm really happy with it. I think it looks really good, and I'll make a video. I believe the spats are coming in tomorrow, so I'll make a video on that for you guys and show you kind of the completed look. But I'm, again, really pleased with it. I'll leave a link below for this specific one that I got, so if anybody is interested, you can just pick it up. I had some great communication with the seller with that little defect over here. You can't even see it, honestly, so I don't know. I might just take the credit and just be on my way. But if they offered to send me a new one and let me keep this one, I'll obviously do that. But if they tell me, hey, send this one back and then we'll send a new one out, I'm not gonna even bother with it. I'd rather just take the credit, mainly because I already have this one installed and I don't feel like, boxing everything back, sending it, waiting for the new one. It's just a pain in the butt. So we'll see what happens. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated and let you know what happens. But otherwise, again, really happy with the look. I think it looks pretty badass. And I think those rear spats that I'm getting over here is going to complete the look and really finish off the exteriors. That's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, be sure to ask them below. I'll be more than happy to answer, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Diffuser.